So, this wasn't what I had planned. Everyone, allow me to introduce one Rebeccah Starlight, someone who a nice chunk of you may know as Star Giant Productions. Rebeccah has become something of a hot topic around the internet, of which I will attempt to explain the context of to the best of my abilities, as even if I'm not covering the whole video, I still feel like it is important to the video I am covering. So, back in October of 2021, the mysterious Mr. Enter made a video called Regarding Star Giant Productions. This video was talking about Rebeccah and her behavior from behind the scenes during the time she was Mr. Enter's editor and sometime after Rebeccah was fired. Then, in November of 2021, Rebeccah responded back in the video aptly called Response to Mr. Enter. And it exists, I guess. Honestly, while I could talk about it, other people either already have or are planning to. And I am currently a Fire Emblem Lord, not a fortune teller. To get back on track, in January of this year, Rebeccah, in an attempt to totally not copy Mr. Enter at all, released a public schedule for her 2023 videos. Among these videos was one called Addressing My Abuse, where Rebeccah said that she would address the stuff that Mr. Enter and his employees brought up in the previously mentioned video from back in October. Flash forward to February 18, 2023 when the video was released, and dear God, is it awful. Honestly, if I really wanted to, I could cover a number of things about how this video makes Evolto from Kamen Rider Build look more honest and human. Which, you know, is saying a lot given who Evolto from Kamen Rider Build is and what he has done. However, not only am I not exactly the best person to cover that video given what it's about, but I know of several people who want to cover this. And again, I am currently a Fire Emblem Lord, not a fortune teller. So why am I here if I'm not covering the entire 3-hour-long video that as of right now Rebeccah has unlisted for currently undisclosed reasons? Well, it's because I decided to read the copy of the script that Rebeccah left in that video, and I have a particular issue with one section within her video where she discusses MintKitten's, aka Hope's, suicidal thoughts. And, well, I think you guys know what my feelings are. So, with all of that out of the way, it's time to
pick a god and pray.
War crimes, war crimes, war crimes!
Revenge, death, cheese!
I actually have nothing good to say.
The most standout example was coming to one of my teammates and saying that they were quote-unquote too suicidal, to the point of being a manipulator.
The fact that this woman can suggest that I want to kill myself for fucking brownie points is just cruel.
Let me be clear. I did not intentionally tell Hope at any point in time that she was attempting suicide for social brownie points. That is a fucking lie what Hope and Enter said. But let's read what it says. You tend to be suicidal, Hope. This is a true statement, as in she was someone on the edge of wanting to hurt herself. I was worried sick that I was afraid of someone that I called my friend being hurt. But oh no! Hook, line, and sinker on me. Next line. At the point you do it for social brownie points. Hey, did you know that people under stress don't think straight? What if, in this situation, let's pretend, what if, in this situation, I was having a hard time? You don't know that, and no one else does.
Yeah, you're right. Mr. Enter and Hope didn't know how you were feeling. That is not an excuse for you saying, in a row, you tend to be suicidal, Hope, at the point you do it for social brownie points. I could give less of a shit about you saying that you didn't intend to tell Hope that she was being suicidal for brownie points, nor do I care if you were going through a hard time. You still said that Hope expressing her suicidal thoughts multiple times made it look like she was just being suicidal to manipulate Mr. Enter, explicitly using her interaction with him as an example. How can you, in any way, think that trying to excuse that was a good idea? And that's not even touching on your text over there. Oh, if I wasn't there, she would have been dead. Yes. Saying that someone is suicidal for brownie points after she had talked about this for at least 20 times is so helpful. You know how you actually help someone who's going through depression, let alone having suicidal thoughts? You try to start a conversation. You help them find support through therapy and help them continue it. You may even have to do self-care by setting boundaries. What you don't do is try to minimize their experiences, try to give them unwanted advice, or even attempt to fix their thought process. And if these DMs are what you think is helping Rebeccah, then never attempt to help a suicidal person ever again, as what you're doing is not support, but the exact opposite.
My issue is that I was afraid. With all this talk that Hope was doing on suicide, someone else could view this as attention-seeking. This does not mean that she was doing it. It could be viewed as such.
How does that make it better? Because now you're saying, oh, I wasn't saying that Hope is using suicide to manipulate people. I'm saying that it could be seen as using suicide to manipulate people. That still implies that her behavior is manipulative.
What do you want me to do? Just let Hope kill herself? Wow, you're an asshole. Fuck you. But go ahead, Hope. Get mad at me here. Then accept my apology and we move on from it. And then hate me for this out of nowhere for 9 months later.
Okay, just like how you apologized for this back in November, yet are deciding to now bring it up again when Hope seems to have moved on from it?
The thing that's been eating me up the most is what I said to Hope.
Rebeccah told me that I tend to be too suicidal and accused me of doing it for brownie points or manipulation. The fact that this woman can suggest that I want to kill myself for fucking brownie points is just cruel.
I was wrong to say that. I helped Hope out in the past, but one night I guess I got angry at her and I said that statement behind her back. I instantly realized that it was wrong for me to say that, and I told Hope that I was sorry for what I did. I apologized for this when I first made this mistake.
Also, just because you did apologize for it doesn't mean that Hope or Mr. Enter need to forgive you for what you did or even forget about it. As the saying goes, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it.
Do you think that maybe that it could have been me saying that too fast? The screenshot doesn't show any timestamps, and that Discord account of mine has been deleted due to harassment, so we can't even verify it in today's world due to the fact that it's been deleted. Yeah, Discord recently did update itself, that way it does show the timestamps for all conversations. In 2021, this did not exist. So we will never know the truth about the time. Not that it matters.
Actually, technically we can. The issue would just more so rely on if Hope still has the conversation which you left in her Discord DMs, as she can still access the conversation, even with the account gone. Sure, it relies on Hope showing the DMs, but given how she was willing to beforehand, I'm sure she wouldn't mind having to do so again with the timestamps if she desired to. But that's assuming that this whole section was even needed, as you said yourself. The timestamps do not matter. What matters is the fact that the conversation happened. I mean, unless you went on this tangent to say, how can anyone believe this screenshot? These could have been easily faked. But not only would that mean that you would be going against your own word from back in November, but then that means that the burden of proof still lies back onto you. And unless you can magically undeactivate an account to get back those conversations, we cannot take your word for it.
But good to know that everyone on John's team hated me. No, I will hate them forever.
Ah, yes, and you're doing such a fantastic job at not showing a bias yourself, which is ironic given how early at the start of this video you said,
But I don't want anyone going after anybody that I mentioned in this video. This includes Enter's entire team. No one there is a bad person.
ah yes, I am not disgruntled. Now watch as I act like a complete bitch about this situation, how Mr. Enter's team apparently didn't like me. I am very smart and knowledgeable.
Maybe if they told me this could have been solved. And the solution to all of our problems is pretty simple. Talk things out. That is all that had to be done. I'm repeating this because it is the correct answer. And you should always repeat what the correct answer is, especially when people don't get it.
Okay, so we always have to repeat ourselves if people don't get something. Duly noted. Let me see if I can do this. Implying that someone was/could be using suicide to manipulate people is wrong regardless of your intentions, especially if they are coming to you for support. See? I think I got it. Also, why would anyone want to talk it out with you given this is how you are currently responding? Fun fact, people don't like dealing with confrontational people, especially if they're already having to deal with personal issues such as, oh, I don't know, depression and suicidal thoughts. So, what if they didn't want to talk because they thought that you wouldn't be that great to talk to? I mean, that's just even ignoring how Hope directly told you that you called her manipulator based on what you had said in the DM shown and how you just denied it. So yeah, I wonder why they thought talking it out would not work. Strange, isn't it?
Let me guess. If I were saying that I was going to commit suicide, you would laugh at me. No, be mad/ignorant at me and saying that I was lying or making a joke.
How? How would you know that if you express suicidal thoughts that Mr. Enter, his team, or even Hope would do that? Especially given Hope's own experiences with having those thoughts herself. This is a blatant case of you trying to use an appeal to emotion to make the audience be on your side. Fucking shut your fuck.
Why didn't I address this last time and felt like I went along with it? Because I was too depressed to really look at the evidence and to get my words in edgewise.
Look into the evidence. Bitch, you literally had no evidence. You, in fact, tried to claim that Hope's evidence was fake because something had no ties to him, but then you decide to say, I actually don't have those conversations, so we can never know, and also it doesn't matter. Shut your fuck!
Last time, my channel was losing subs, and all my videos would be mass disliked, as well as me having to constantly block channels for their spam. I wasn't really in a place where I could say that what Enter's team said about me was a lie, or that not everything was true. Once again, here is the Google Doc / screenshot explaining my side and defense.
That you barely focus on and don't even give us time to read alongside the fact that you don't even have the document in the description, so it's not like we can actually see if you're in the right or not. Good job!
Where Hope accepted my apology, and how we moved on from it, and how she had no problem with it for 9 months, and how we had normal conversations like normal people all the way up to May. In fact, it wasn't until Sarah returned where she had a problem with me, so I don't know if Sarah told her something behind the scenes.
Let's bring up a hypothetical. What if Hope merely just accepted the apology, but never actually forgave you? Because that is a thing you can do. You can accept someone's apology without forgiving them. After all, nowhere in these screenshots does it show her saying, okay, I forgive you, Rebeccah. It just has her merely accept your apology. You are not owed forgiveness just because you say sorry. And honestly, given how you are acting now, why would she think that you are sorry now? Especially with how you have been making excuses about what you had been saying to her. Also, implying that she only stopped forgiving you because of whatever Sarah did, with zero proof to back you up. Again, wow. You are doing such an excellent job at making yourself look like the victim here. Can't wait for you to break out into a song about how it isn't your fault when you talk about slowly piercing people with your stinger or something.
But Hope was crying in the Regarding Starlight Productions video! You do know that people fake cry all the time in courts to have audiences sympathize with their side to get what they want in the very end. With this statement, you probably already assumed that you think that I was implying that Hope was fake crying. But if you look through my actual words, I didn't state that once. Your brains just implied that I did when that never happened.
You just compared Hope's actions to people who fake their crying in court cases. No shit people would think that. Did some part of you forget that context means just as much, if not more, than what you actually say? After all, context is how we understand an event, idea, and yes, even a statement like you just said. Even if you didn't come out and say, oh, Hope was just faking her tears, by comparing her emotional breakdown to people faking it in court cases, you have implied that she was faking her tears. Your intentions be damned.
Also, after this discussion in September 2020, Hope never had any suicidal thoughts.
Again, how can you know that? Especially given what you have shown us so far, it is very likely that she could have easily just not told you about any future thoughts given how you reacted to her. Unless you have proof of her saying, I don't have suicidal depression anymore. You can't prove that she doesn't have that. Especially since you literally just mentioned that Hope cried during her part of the original video. Like, what the fuck?
Could it have been worded better? Sure. But when you help with someone trying to prevent them from committing suicide 20 times, it gets tiring. Especially when they don't go to therapy. Yes, in-person still existed during the pandemic. And this was in September, meaning that more things, and even afterwards.
Nice cutoff, Master Editor, but okay, on to the actual point. If you knew that Hope did not see a therapist, then why didn't you actually help her find support? Because if you felt like she often went into a serious depression at least 20 times, then you as her friend should have helped Hope get the help that she needed. Especially if you two were as close as you were back then. Not bitch about the fact that you had helped her multiple times in a video addressing the quote-unquote abuse you went through. Nice job, by the way. Totally makes it seem like you valued her as a person and not as an annoyance. That part was still in the video, by the way. So that text over there saying, I had more to say, but it sounded too mean, doesn't work as a defense here. Try again.
And even afterwards, I apologized and Hope accepted my apology and we had normal conversations afterwards. And we were fine for 9 months. So either Hope lied in September 2020 or she lied in June 2021. Because that accusation is what got me fired. She could have lied both times, or me playing devil's advocate, she could have been misinterpreting things. Maybe she could have lied without realizing it. I don't know. I don't have the correct answer in this situation.
Rebeccah, you were literally trying to excuse what you had said to Hope earlier in this very video. I'm sorry if I don't believe that Hope is a liar or misinterpret things when you barely understand what the definition of context is. And again, what are these normal conversations? You don't show us any proof that these conversations happen. You just say that they did. Honestly, I could be just as uncharitable as you are and say that you are also lying. Or, if I so happen to wish to take part in the devil's slaying, just bring up that hypothetical of how maybe Hope stopped talking about those certain topics with you. Also, ignoring how it wasn't just Hope's situation that you were fired. It was also everything else brought up in Enter's videos, such as the fact that you didn't pay your editors for their service. Her situation just happened to be the breaking point. That doesn't make it the sole reason as to why you were fired.
Hope, by the way, told me 24 hours after we settled things that she talked to a suicide hotline. Whether she told the truth there or not, this is what she told me.
I mean, did she? Again, you don't show any proof of this conversation taking place. And honestly, given how much you have tried to make it seem like Hope lied about you and you making excuses for your own behavior, pardon me if I think you're sus and a mogoose.
I mean, this one time me outbursting saying this shit by accident makes me a terrible person. It's not like I helped Hope stop her suicide 20 times prior through therapeutic discussions for free, except I did.
You are literally trying to use the fact that you helped stop at least 20 suicide attempts to make the audience feel sorry for the fact that you were fired for acting out of line. Dare I even say it, you are using this situation as a social brownie point. I don't want to hear you try to paint yourself as some sort of kickdown innocent puppy, all the while trying to excuse yourself for calling a suicidal person a manipulator while they were depressed. This is more than just using an appeal to emotion. This is straight up using a manipulation tactic. Shut your fuck.
Also, it was a one-time outburst. You don't know the context of the situation.
You literally said in the previous video that you were already upset when Hope talked to you and that it bled into your conversation with her. And that's ignoring how you were talking to her while she was depressed. You know, even if somehow more context would magically make everything sunshines and rainbows, why are you not informing us? You just keep saying, actually, you don't know the whole story, and then you give us jack shit! Fuck!
You don't know how I was feeling that day, unless you're telling me one outburst is all it takes for a human to be bad. Oh boy, that get out of my car sketch! I bet you think the driver is the bad one. And yes, I repeat in my defense. Sometimes you need to repeat yourself to get a point across.
How the fuck are either these situations comparable? Especially as one is a comedy sketch using a mix of dark humor and satire to give people ha-has, and the other is you telling a suicidal person that they could be seen as manipulative. This is comparing an apple to a fucking green snake.
But as we all know, we live in a utopian society. If you outburst even once, you're an outcast for life. If this one outburst is all that it took for John to make a video on me, imagine all the shit that he did.
Oh, no. We aren't acting like you skipped a certain section of your script, Missy. Yeah, so for those who don't know Rebeccah's content, Rebeccah likes to leave a version of her script in the description of her videos, and this video was no exception. However, there is something interesting that she said after that utopia society bullshit that is very interesting. To quote the script itself,
"Good luck finding a job with how little money you make in regards to the United States becoming more capitalistic while we give lazy assholes that fucking won't get jobs all of our money. I really hate people that live on social security that can easily get jobs for the record."
And this, honestly, is fucking disgusting. Since not only does it show once again that you didn't care for either Mr. Enter, and especially Hope as people, but then you decided, in your absolute wisdom, to blame the problem with the United States economic problems on disabled people who live off of a social security income. Sure, let's just casually ignore how disabled people might be literally incapable of holding a job thanks to their disability, whereas being unable to do any physical tasks thanks to a physical disability, or being unable to handle the workforce environment thanks to either a mental or a neurological disability. Let's ignore how hard it is to find a job that pays enough to allow you to live, especially during a time where the cost of living is increasing by the year, and especially ignoring how disabled people are usually treated. Heck, let's even ignore how the reason why our economics even suck isn't even because of your baseless and not at all properly sourced claim of SSI taking away money from people, and more so how the redistribution of wealth is so fucked up in the United States that the top 10% of people earn about 76% of the wealth. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% only earn a whopping 1% of said wealth. No, clearly the situation is that disabled people get SSI and that's a bad thing, because yeah, how dare disabled people be allowed to live with less stress about having enough money to live if they even get that at all? They should all get real jobs like us Americans, or just fucking die, I guess. Hey you, autistic young adults who might have issues with social skills and adjusting to a new setting. Go work at that local Chanel's Pizza 1800 right now or just fucking die. Who cares about your disability? You need to man up like a real American. Oh, sorry about that. I puke when I say something fucking ableist. No, seriously, Rebecca, what possessed you to think that not only was it important to think about it in the first place, but to then leave it in your script and have it linked to the video? I don't even care if it isn't in the video itself. The fact that it's still there in the script for everyone to see while the video was still public proves to me that Rebecca didn't care about how it made her look. It proves to me that Rebecca clearly has a lack of empathy, let alone honesty, towards people who have so much as slighted you. Honest to God, I mean this with all of my heart. Shut your fuck, you fucking ableist. I'm Ozzy 101, and fuck ableism. All my homies hate ableism.